What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shrizzles, and I'm going to be talking to y'all today about one of the most inspirational animes, in my opinion. Actually, the most inspirational one to me personally, okay? I mean, it's kind of like a review, but at the same time, you see the title, like I said, the most inspirational. So if you've never watched it, just drop a like and, go watch it or something. Come back later. I don't know, something like that. Let me know if you liked it. Anyways, let's talk about it. This is a one-season anime, unfortunately, and the name of it is The Pet Girl of SakuraSou. Obviously, I'm probably butchering the name, but it's in the title. You'll know what it is. You can type it in. Now, as I said before, this is a one-season anime, which unfortunate. But if you're unsatisfied with one season, the manga is still going, or continued anyways. So we're gonna be reviewing the main plot, also some characters, and after that, the key points that I really enjoyed about the show and how I found it inspirational. So stick to the end. This story is based on some kids attending university, primarily one that goes by the name of Sora Kanda. The story is based on a bunch of troublemakers in high school that had to live in an outside dorm because they were too much of nuisances to the regular kids in school. And in some cases, they all had a lot of special talents and whatnot, and they just didn't fit the usual norm, I guess you could say. These people are the people who we all think we are, but we just aren't. We want to be geniuses and whatnot, but we just aren't. They attend Sumi University of the Arts, and that is the primary settings for our characters. And the story is based on them progressing to their goals and moving on in their life, basically. Or figuring out what they want to do with their life, and some just pursuing their dreams that they've always had. So we are going to take a look at the characters that the story mainly focuses on, and my thoughts about it, my thoughts on each one and how I feel about them. Now, obviously, some of these character traits are going to be things that were influenced by the story. So they didn't initially start off this way, but a lot of things are like that, so just bear with me while I bring up some things that happen later, and I'll link them in my key points. So Sora is basically an average guy, He has no type of special talent or anything. He's just a very caring individual. I mean, he's an idiot too. But the reason he even got moved into the dorms, well, the outside dorms, but I'm just going to call him the dorms so I don't have to say SakuraSou every time, was because he was trying to take care of a stray cat in his regular dorm. Literally. He said he just couldn't let it go. He just couldn't let it go. He had to take care of that cat. And he was so determined to do so that instead of just getting rid of the cat after a month of not being able to find an adopter, the school gave him an option. Either you could stay in the dorms, get rid of him, or you can move to this outside place where all the bad people go, quote unquote, just troublemakers. They're not bad people. And the man said, you know what? I'm moving in. I'm taking the cat with me. Everybody was surprised, including somebody else that's going to be on this list in a second. Now, because of all the other people in this house, like I stated before, there are some links and character traits and what they're doing that happen because of the story. And Kanda does not take any exception, especially him. He went from only wanting to move out to wanting to be a video game developer and wanting to stay. You know how crazy that is? Man just wanted to keep some cats at one point, and now all of a sudden he thinks he's David Vonderhaar. Shout out David Vonderhaar, Black Ops 2. I like Sora, honestly. His cluelessness really adds to the story. Obviously, if you're gonna like the show, you're probably gonna like the main character. Now, in a lot of cases, a lot of people don't find the main character as their favorite character, but a lot of people like them, and this is no exception. I like Sora. He has his flaws, and his cluelessness drive the story at such a high level. So many things could be prevented if he just wasn't so slow and so dumb. Maybe dumb's a little far, but you get the point. Next up, we got Mashiro. She is literally a genius art creator. She can just make art at like the highest level of all time. Mona Lisa has nothing on this girl. You look at her paintings and you just dive into them. Actually, you don't even dive in. You don't have a choice. You're pulled in. She came from England. She transferred to Japan to make manga. Literally every weeb's dream, right? No, you can't draw. It's okay, neither can I. We'll get there. But obviously, with her geniusness, her smarts, her intellect, there's certain things that you lack. Everybody has archetypes, Some people naturally gifted, and they don't have any work in them. You know what I'm saying? They don't have any want. Some people don't have anything whatsoever, zero talent in anything at all, but they have the drive of a lion. I'm not saying this is one of the cases. I'm just saying everybody has different archetypes. One of her main downfalls and her whole character type is the fact that she can't understand people's feelings whatsoever. Those people you say good morning to? You're just all happy to see them in the morning, and then they just hit you with the yo. It's kind of like that, except they're doing it on purpose and she's not. In a strange way, she's almost on a different level from everybody else, She can see things the ways that other people can't. She also has photographic memory, but she constantly needs help and treatment from other people, such as Sora. He's literally the designated Mashiro caretaker. She will literally spend day and night making manga that she's not particularly as good at, because, that requires script and everything instead of just, art, but she's still amazing at it, and she will do it until she passes out. And a lot of times in the show, you'll find her just passed out on her desk with her drawing pad and everything. And she was one of the main drivers of a lot of inspiration in the story. Even though she didn't really understand people's feelings or really her own in a way, her mangas really had a lot of key components from her own life. And in a way, how she feels or how she wants to feel, but she can't really explain it. So it's pretty interesting. Well, as much as the main character makes the story, Mashiro made up probably even more than him. She was the catalyst for some people's jealousy, some people's love, as well as the hierarchy of talent that gloomed over the house that they tried not to think about. But overall, one of my favorite characters by far. Probably my favorite, actually. Even though Sora doesn't have an excuse, she's very similar in the way that she just is clueless and it kind of pushes the story a bit. Or in a way she does have a clue, but people can't tell because she can't convey her feelings correctly. But whenever she does, it makes for some very emotional scenes, and I love it. Her determination is the glue for so many other people's determination in this show. By the way, I did really find it interesting that there was somebody creating a manga inside of an anime. I thought that was interesting as heck, because I think it gives some of us a glimpse into how mangas are written and such. As with one of the characters that I'm going to talk about in a second, sometimes they can just come up with things as they please, and at other times, you just can't do that, and you have to project your own feelings into a narrative that you find true. Like something based on real life, but you change it to other people in a different setting and different situation. And that was one of the things that she did well. Moving on. Next, we have Nanami. Now, I should probably talk about her last since she moved in last compared to everybody else, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's safe to just go ahead and talk about her. Nanami was friends with Sora before any of them, like by far. She was there the day that he found the cat. She's had the crush on a man for a long time, and she just can't tell him, even though, to be honest, it's obvious. And once again, so my boy Sora is clueless. You know what though? So am I. So, you know what? That's the reason I can back you up, Sora. I understand. Sometimes the most obvious things, you just look right past. It's unfortunate. So she's a voice actress, and she is very hard working multiple jobs just so she can go to university while going to an extra voice acting school. She also inspires Sora and other people in the same way that Mashiro does. Mashiro may have a lot of talent, but she spends all her time working on it. While Nanami tries her hardest and works so hard to be able to do the things that her parents told her she couldn't do, which is very inspiring as well. Her parents gave her no money whenever she moved to university because she was studying something that they didn't believe she should study for. But they said, you know what, fine, you can go as long as you pay for it yourself. She also likes to take things into her own hands. She likes to intervene, if you will. Even if it has nothing to do with voice acting or her work, she will step in and do the things that nobody asked for, and people would actually prefer her not to since she works so hard on so many other things, which makes her a very respectable character, and I think everybody would be okay with having her in their life. She's also really funny because she gets all flustered and everything whenever stuff happens, and it's hilarious, but at the same time very determined and will just smack you right up quick. Definitely a great character. I enjoy her. She tried to be the caretaker of Mashiro because she was jealous that she was being taken care of by Sarita. Unfortunately, that got her nowhere and that had to stop pretty quickly, but we mess with her. Anybody would like to have her around, like I said before. Okay, on to the next person. And obviously you get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm explaining them, giving you my thoughts about them. Oh yeah, one little note. Poor girl, she did not deserve that, okay? Look, I wanted him to get with Mashiro too, but if he would have gotten with her, I would have been cool with it too. Unfortunately, it just happened like that. Next, we have Misaki. A nickname for her is Alien. Now, obviously, you can gather what you want from that. And if you watch the show, you know exactly what I mean. She is a hyper-energetic genius, okay? Genius. Hyper-energetic genius anime creator. Coming up with the most crazy stories and the drawing at its finest. Now, her overwhelming optimism, hyper-energeticness, coupled with the creativity of 3,000 pre-Kers. Because, you know, they can... Let me tell you something. Legos, they go hard with the Legos. She has the capability of like 10,000, okay? She's a great character in this story because she basically keeps everybody in line indirectly. Whether Mashiro would be down or Nanami would be down, it didn't matter. She would cheer them both up with her optimistic outlook. That sometimes waned, but that made the story better too. Because whenever she was brought down, you knew there was something wrong and everybody really had to think, like, this is bad. Like, what would we do? Because she's usually the one who saves us from our own despair and self-destruction. She was actually the original one out of all of these people to be in that house for all the mischiefs and everything. And her one and only wish was that other people would be there eventually and every room would be filled. And that wish did come true, as you can tell by the list. Obviously, she has a great contrast to the story. She doesn't worry about as much as things, but sometimes she does, versus people worrying about a lot of things and then sometimes not. And it's always great to have those characters that can just contrast everyone else in some way. When people are down, they are up, but they lift other people up with them, with their crazy point of view. It doesn't make much sense, not a whole lot of logic to it, but we love it and the optimism is there and we mess with it. Oh yeah, and she has a crush on the next guy I'm going to talk about. Next we got Jin. He wants to become an anime script writer. The dude is smooth, he's a literal playboy. There's a reason people like him, okay? This dude has a different girl every weekend, but he also has a crush on Misaki like she does on him. So it's a little confusing, but the point is, he doesn't want to hurt her, he feels like he's not enough, but then he goes and talks to a whole bunch of other girls to try to ignore it. Anyways, at some point or another, he drops his hose, you know what I'm saying? And he tries for her. Do they ever get together? That's for you to find out. I don't want to get into too much, okay? Because I have a feeling I've been going way too hard at these character descriptions and my thoughts on them, but, you know, very level-headed, smart guy. He actually thinks of other people before himself, regardless of how it looks at first. He's almost calculating things on the benefit of other people without them knowing it, usually. Obviously, another essential part to the story, because this is one of the few stories that has multiple romances in it at the same time, and it's based on romance. And I'm talking, of course, outside of the main character. There are some animes that I've watched where multiple girls like one guy, and that's the main character. But in this case, it has nothing to do with the main character. Last but not least, living in the house. We have Ryannosuke, highest IQ out of all of them when it comes to, you know, computers and whatnot. He's a programmer. The dude made this thing called like a maid AI. Basically, if he's not there and you want to talk to him, it's an AI that'll just talk to you and be like, can you go away? He's not here. Or you want to leave a message? Hold on, let me go get him, you know? And it'll tell you what's wrong with you, and it'll try to help you out, whether or not he's there or not. And that's pretty cool. The dude made an AI. He doesn't even go to school. He comes there just enough for attendance to get past. Guy's a legend. Guy's a legend. Never comes outside, and he hates girls, to be honest. But you know what? That's okay. Keep up your grind, homeboy. Because everybody knows Rita's coming after you. And that's moving on to the next person. This is an honorable mention. She doesn't actually live there. She stayed there for a few days, but she was important to the storyline. I figured I'd bring her up too. She is also a great painter from England who stopped by. She was also a big part in the story. She was a friend slash rival of Mashiro, one of the few people who stuck around whenever Mashiro was making all these fantastic paintings that were just beyond this world. She was one of the few people who stuck around as it was a challenge or thought of her as a friend. Now at a time, jealousy did get the better of her, but hey, what can you do? You're dealing with a super genius, but she is really great, and she does have a future in painting in front of her as well. Definitely a little selfish. You're gonna hate her at first if you haven't watched it. And if you have, you know what I'm talking about. But she's great. She's great. She also has a thing for the programming homeboy that doesn't want anything to do with girls. Like, come on, you picked him out of everybody, the one that you have to try to bust down the door to talk to him. But hey, salute to you. You know what? You're a soldier. You're going in there, and you know what? Somebody's gotta love the guy, and I don't think it would have been anybody else. So salute to you. Now, obviously, like I said, she's from England, so she came over to Japan for a little bit to try to talk Mashiro into coming back once she had regret about pretty much helping her move on to other things, and she helped her with manga and everything. But she did have a change of heart, and she led to some great scenes in there as well. And I mess with Rita. Whether you do or not at the end of it, that's up to you. But to start with, I didn't. Later on, you're with the fam. You're with the fam. Now, obviously, the key points. The story has some great romance in it while being very inspirational, and this is how. At first, they were all kind of doing their own things, you know? They got along, but they didn't do anything to support each other, even though their skill sets were so varying. That would almost be a great thing if they all worked together. Now, all these geniuses being in a house aspiring for these goals really got to Sora, made him want to stay. And you know what? He decided to become a game designer and push in determination to do what he knows and loves. And I respect that 100%, even if it took him a little while. Okay, a long while. The main catalyst for that was obviously Mashiro, you know, seeing her staying up all night, you know, waking up in the morning. She just passed out on the ground next to her computer after trying to make a manga, just redoing it over and over again. There's something to be said about that. By the way, part of the reason this is so inspirational is it just makes you think that there's so many things you could do, and if you really put your mind to it, you can do it. I know that. Like, this anime legitimately gave me inspiration to do some things, some motivation to do some things, you know, far out goals. Maybe it's not right now, but it really did. Am I going to tell y'all? No, not really, but I'm going to keep that to myself. You know what I'm saying? We grind in peace. Look, that's not the point. Now, obviously, the romance was great. On one hand, you had Sora that almost looked up to Mashiro for giving him this type of determination just from seeing how much work she puts in to being able to do the things that he can do, or even coming up with a plan to begin with. And he fell in love with this part over, to be quite honest, and I found that great. Unfortunately, they had some ups and downs, as most of them do, because let's be honest, in the first episode of two characters got together, and you're just like, at first you're gonna be like, yes, this is the greatest thing ever, I don't have to wait for this. But then you're like, oh, so they're just gonna be together now? Is that all? Yeah, of course that doesn't happen. So it took a while. And Sora went as far as to say, I don't like this version of you, the one that found out that she likes him. Or was she, you know, she doesn't understand her emotions, but you get the point. All she knows is she likes being around him and she wants to help him and stuff after a while. And it made Sora uncomfortable because he felt like it was holding her back. He didn't want to be the one to hold her back. He didn't want to hold back the person that he was inspired by and somewhat liked, even if he didn't know it at the time. Which, by the way, he definitely knew it. He was just ignoring it and was like, oh, that's gotta be something else. And of course, with the romance, there was, you know, a little bit of twists and turns and whatnot. Obviously, Nanami, she liked him. Nanami was trying to do everything in her power to get him and stuff like that, giving him gifts, trying to go out with him on Christmas and stuff like that. It just wasn't happening. We felt bad for her because she was great. Either one, I think, would have made any of us happy. But that time when she basically gave up on it and was like, you know what you really want. You want Mashiro, you gotta go get her. She's the best for you. She's obviously what you're looking for. She's giving you this determination, which she did too, some to be fair, but you know, there's just things that are written on the wall that if you walk past enough times, eventually you're gonna read, and she read the situation. So although she was in love with him, she was not willing to lose their friendship and start more drama between the friend group and the person that she knew he liked. Respect to her, by the way. You know what? Like I said, all of us would have been cool to be the one to get the romance. I mean, obviously we had one preference, but you know, she's a real one. MVP. Now, as I said before, it's one of the cooler things whenever all these people who just constantly isolate themselves and they just work on their own craft, and it's a beautiful thing. They have this obsession. They want to get this done. This is beautiful. I wish I was like that. I'm not necessarily like that. I like what I like, and unfortunately it's not programming or something, or you know, something that would have me making $1 million by the time I'm 18. I'm 18 now. That didn't happen. But I thought it was really cool that they all had those certain little attributes, and then they all worked together on things like a collective of bees in the hive. At some points, it was pretty cool. They had the school festival. They all got together, made it work. Somehow Sora became the leader, even though he was the most non-skilled and average one out of all of them. But it's to be expected. He's the main character. Everybody could see that coming from a mile away. And I thought that was great. During that time, you can see some self-reflection on what he needs to do for determination, or how to get a handle on groups, especially working with people who are more skilled than him. And you know what his attributes really are. He also realized what it took to become a content creator, which is putting your own heart into something and your own emotion versus just throwing something out there and being like, I made this. It looks good, right? It's got to be something you really care about and something you want to talk about, or you want to create and you want other people to see. So regardless of all that, I loved the whole anime. The romance part was amazing. There was definitely some comedy in there. Do not get that twisted. Obviously, it's a rom-com, but above all, it was inspirational. And I feel like if you watched it, you'd be inspired too by some of the things these people accomplished, and the road it took for them to get there, and what type of inspiration from other people they needed to have. Plus the idea of just going, you know what, this is what I want to do. I don't care if anybody else likes it. And that's what happens whenever you get in a group of people who can support that. Also, let that be a lesson right there. It does have some life lessons. If you're in a group of people who don't support what you're doing, why are you there? And if you are in that group, don't let it get to you that it's kind of weird that people are actually supporting you for once. You don't always have to have enemies. Anyways, so that was my talk on that anime. I give it a 9 out of 10. It was great. Obviously, I'm a little bit lighter on my scales with most people. Some people are just very analytical, like, yes, this is a 6.5, 6.7. No, I'm not like that. It's just like, did I enjoyment? 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I binged the heck out of it. I think you'll enjoy it too. You want to be inspired, go check it out. And if you've already watched, let me know if you agree and bring up other points that I haven't. Obviously, this video's gone on for a long time. Hope you people enjoyed. Check out my TikTok if you want to. We're at around 35,000 followers, so if you want to go follow there, let me know. Also, if there's another type of anime you would like me to review or talk about, leave that in the comments below. And if there isn't, just let me know how you're doing, because I hope you're all doing great, and let's keep up that anime grind. All constructive criticism helps me out a lot, so make sure to put that in the comments below. Just because you disliked or enjoyed the video doesn't mean you can't say something to help me improve myself, and I would love for that to happen. Now, one thing I know can improve me if I didn't record this at like 3 a.m., but it is what it is. I'm a night owl. Oh well. Anyways, it's your boy Shrizzles. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you want to see another video. Notifications on. Obviously, you know, you're not going to see it all the time. I'm just not going to get recommended all the time, but there's a better chance of you seeing it in that case. So it's your boy Shrizzles, and I'm out.